Hey, we're back. We're live. It's Wednesday from the 4 to 5 block. How exciting, because Wednesday from the 4 to 5 block, every Wednesday is Hawaii, the state of energy, the state of clean energy, I may add. And we are in a state of excitement because we had this great clean energy program yesterday. So the keynote for the program is our key guest today, Jim Lazar. He's an energy consultant and regulatory advisor. And we have two co-hosts. You're in trouble, Jim. One is Mike Hamnett from the University of Hawaii, and Ray Starling from Hawaii Energy. And wow, we're all together. What horsepower. Say hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Nicely done.
Hey, Jay.
You know, I mean, it was an extraordinary program. But before we get into it, okay, we're going to have our negawatt moment with Chelsea Harder, who is right out there. Chelsea, turn on the microphone and let us have your suggestions from Hawaii Energy this week.
All right. Well, thanks, Jay. And for those of you who don't know, I'm from Hawaii Energy, and Hawaii Energy is the ratepayer-funded energy efficiency and conservation program for the islands of Hawaii, Lanai, Maui, Molokai, and Oahu. We offer cash rebates and other incentives to residents and businesses to help offset the cost of installing energy-efficient equipment. So I'm going to share with you today some little-known tips to save energy in your home. So,
Does Ray know about this?
I don't know.
I see him making
They're
notes.
little known.
I see him making notes. But okay. Well, when you say little known, it's going to be broader known now.
right. So for the first tip, I'd like to offer which saves more energy, hand washing dishes or dishwashers? So,
You want to give us a chance to answer that?
I don't know. Go ahead.
All right, Jim.
That new Energy Star dishwasher is the winner.
He knows.
How about conventional dishwasher? Let's assume that we have that, because not everybody has Energy Star. So assume that it's conventional. Which one is more efficient?
Wow.
Depends on how many people you're cooking for.
Depends on how full your dishwasher is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it depends on how carefully you rinse by hand.
And this, yeah, I think it has a lot to do with,
Yeah,
how
it's
much
very-
water you use.
It's quite variable, and what we've assumed is that, let's say you do 4 cycles per week using a conventional dishwasher, and then for hand washing dishes, you would wash it for about 10 minutes with hot water, and that would be 2 washes per day. So the answer is actually that you save $69 per year washing your dishes using a dishwasher, because that hot water is not reproduced in the faucet, but it's recirculated throughout the dishwasher.
Wow. Well,
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay.
How about our
This
second?
is in your newsletter, right?
This is not, but you can go on hawaiienergy.com for more energy-saving tips.
Okay.
So for the second tip, this is something that people do know, but it's a bit of a way to gauge this. So reducing your shower time by 2 minutes. Everybody knows that saves energy, but not many people would use a timer when you're taking a shower. So let's say you have someone in your household that takes a long shower. Here's something that you might want to share. So let's assume that you're taking a shower in one of those bathtubs. They're typically 25 to 45 gallons. So if you're going to take a shower for 10 minutes, that tub will fill up about halfway. So if you want, you can tell that person that takes a really long shower, plug the drain, take a shower, and stop before that reaches halfway. And that will maybe be an 8-minute shower, which by reducing your shower time by those 2 minutes, you can save $42 per year per person. That's taking 1 shower a day. But we all know it's been really hot recently. Let's say you take 2 showers a day. So if you do that consistently, that would be $84 per year per person.
I have a way for you to double the benefit on that. Guess what it is?
Shower with a friend.
joint shower. You naughty, naughty boy.
Was that your tip? I'll work
That's
on
Jay's
that.
tip. Jay's tip of the day. We're going to have to put that up on our website.
Going to be a little snug with the
Just-
two of us in the shower.
Hey, we don't need
Big
to go
nozzle.
there.
Yeah.
All right.
Stop doing that.
All right, for our third and final tip, which one do you think saves more energy, a ceiling fan or a conventional fan? Let's say it's a table fan, floor fan, box, window.
I'm guessing a ceiling fan.
Ceiling fan, yeah.
Ceiling fan?
Window fan.
Oh,
Actually, ceiling fan is correct. Depending on
Oh.
the setting that you have, you can have, the low, medium, high settings. You can save anywhere from $15 to $86 per year if you switch to a ceiling fan. Now, these are the typical fans that are that have the stem and the round blades. But if you have something like the Vornado, that takes up a lot more watts, so that'll actually be a larger gradient of savings. So, and actually, Hawaii Energy offers ceiling fan rebates for $45. So for more of those energy saving ideas or rebates, please visit hawaiienergy.com.
Yeah, or contact ThinkTech. We'll give you other creative ideas too.
Jay's tip of the day. Remember that.
Well, thank you very much, Chelsea. Chelsea
you,
Harder
Jay.
from Hawaii Energy with creative things. So it's all going to be on your website, which is?
hawaiienergy.com.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now into the main channel here. First, I want to get a handle on how it went for you yesterday, Jim. What was it like at
Oh.
Clean Energy Day?
That was a phenomenal group of people, and I learned a lot listening to the other speakers. I had great interaction during lunch and the other breaks. Stayed late. I was one of the last people to leave because there were people I wanted to talk to from all parts of the Hawaii energy scene, transportation, and electricity and gas. I had a great time.
Okay, let's get some engagement on this. Mike, what did you think? What did you think of Jim?
I thought it was a great day. I think Jim did a great job and had raised a number of options that we've got going forward that a lot of us hadn't thought about, or at least I hadn't. The solar air conditioning, the ice combination with the ice storage is something that there are actually there are projects here in Hawaii that have that I didn't know about.
But it's like, there's these great examples of storage air conditioning like Nordstrom and the Kapi'olani Medical Center and the Iolani School, but it's only not even 1% market penetration of buildings that make ice at night when the air chillers work more efficiently and use it to cool the building during the day and don't have that cooling load imposed on the utility in the middle of a hot afternoon.
Right.
But I think getting more information out about those opportunities. I mean, several years ago when the forum was a lot younger than it is now, Energy Policy Forum was a lot younger, we had a seminar for executives. Do you remember that thing? We had invited
do, yes.
about energy savings and financing, and we had invited 60 and we had 75 show up. And they were very interested in both what the options are as well as the financing. So, but I think there's scope for that with the air conditioning storage. I really do.
Well,
Right.
I like, well, of course, Jim stirred the pot right off the bat and got a lot of thinking and discussion going. So we really do appreciate having your expertise there, and especially as the keynote speaker. But in terms of the ice thermal storage and the other kinds of thermal storage that you talked about, it was really good to hear that, because I have been in the business for a while in my early years, or in years past,
I
maybe 10
remember,
years
I
or so
remember.
ago. I was trying to do ice storage here, and it really did not take off like I thought it could and benefit the grid the way I thought it could, mainly because the rates were not right where they encourage the right kinds of behavior. But we still got some jobs done. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be the rates that have to be looked at to move people to where we want them to be.
As we become a high solar and wind system, we're going to have plenty of power at night from wind and plenty of power in the middle of the day
Right.
from the sun. But we're going to have these shoulder periods when people are getting up and going to work and starting their workday, which have pretty high energy use, and people coming home at the end of the day, and a family comes home from school and from work at 5 o'clock, and they've sort of got between 5 and 9 o'clock to live their whole family life. And they're going to use a lot of appliances. The television's going to be on, dinner's going to be fixed, and laundry needs to get done at some point. And if we add the water heating and air conditioning loads onto that afternoon, as we do now, it creates a real challenge for the electric utility.
Sure.
And to the extent we can take some of those loads, and water heating and air conditioning are two that we can move around in time, because you can store energy in the form you're eventually going to use it, as hot water or as ice, and ease that afternoon and morning peaks on the utility, and move those loads into the times of day when the sun and wind can do a good job supplying our needs.
And if we can go to the time of use rates, where the peak, you make the electricity more expensive during those peak periods, that's going to further drive people
Sure.
to these other options.
The time of use rates are really important in Hawaii to help make the sun and wind more effective at meeting our needs. But they tend to drive people to look for solutions. They don't necessarily help people find those solutions. We still have a job to do with education of what tools are available, with financing so that people can afford to install the equipment that's needed to take advantage of those time of use rates, and inspection and verification and maintenance of those systems once they're built is important. So it's not just as simple as adopt the rates and the problems will go away.
That's
Pricing
true.
is one leg of what I consider a three-legged stool: pricing, policies, and programs. Good policies to say we want to have a renewable energy future, good programs to help people find the answers, and good pricing so that people who find those answers save money on their utility bills.
Well, I was very impressed with your whole approach, Jim. No kidding. And I felt, we have a lot of speakers visit us from the mainland. You're not the first one.
I've heard that.
In various disciplines. And I thought that...
Actually, a lot of us are completely undisciplined.
That too, we got that too. But I thought that you were listening to Hawaii. You were, in tune. You understood. So you were not offering, gratuitous advice that might apply somewhere else but not here. You were really in tune with what's going on here, and I appreciated that.
I've spent a lot of time in Hawaii.
40 trips.
I think this is my 40th trip, approximately. I've bicycled the perimeter highways of 4 islands. Have you ever been to Kaho'olawe?
No,
No,
no.
I haven't been on shore, but I've been diving
Really?
the reefs off
wow.
there, and I've hiked the trail to Kalapapa, and I visit Maui almost every year, and the Big Island pretty much every other year, and I love this state. I like visiting it.
Does this trip change your perception at all? I mean,
Yeah, I'm not going to come back in the
crucible-
summer again. I live in Olympia, Washington. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Great beer also.
And we only get about 2 months of good weather there, and I should take advantage of it at home. This is a fabulous place to come for somebody from the Northwest.
Well, did
January,
yesterday's
February.
discussion change your view of the way of the energy community here?
We have a very, very sophisticated energy community in Hawaii. We've got probably the healthiest solar industry anywhere in the country, certainly the highest level of solar penetration anywhere in the country. We've got high energy rates, the sun shines, the wind blows, people have an environmental ethic, the opportunities for new technology to help us reduce petroleum dependence and meet our energy needs in an economical fashion is fabulous here. I mean, they have high energy prices on other islands too, in Haiti and in the Dominican Republic, but they don't have the education level, they don't have the stable legal, financial, economic framework that Hawaii has. So I think Hawaii is probably the place in the world where the clean energy transition has the best opportunity to succeed. I've worked on other island systems. I've worked in China, I've worked in India, I've worked in Africa, I've worked in Europe, and I've worked all across the United States. And I think Hawaii is the best opportunity to prove that we can use the sun and the wind and the heat of the earth and other renewable resources to meet substantially all of our needs, to keep our computers running, our refrigerators cool, or help us cook our dinner and watch television with renewable resources.
Well, okay. I mean, I think that's it. The show's over.
No,
We're going to take a break.
Oh.
That's my way of saying we're going to take a break. That's Jim Lazar, energy consultant and regulatory advisor, with Mike Hamnet, co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and Ray Starling, a member of the forum, and Hawaii Energy, of course. And I'm Jay Fidel. We're talking about Hawaii, the state of clean energy. We're talking about a retrospective on yesterday's Clean Energy Day, otherwise known as We Be Cool. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard, and I host the show Center Stage on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series right here every Wednesday from 2 to 3 Hawaii time. I would really love to have you watch the show and see what we do here. I talk with some of the most amazing people, artists, most of them, all of them involved in some sort of artistic process. And our goal here on the show is to dig into that artistic process, and you would not believe what some people say, what some people do, what people go through to express. And these are people who have to express somehow, and I find that infinitely interesting. Not only that they have to express, but how they end up doing it. I really hope that you will watch the show and enjoy talking with some of these people the same way that I do. Thanks, and I hope to see you soon on Center Stage on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series, Wednesdays from 2 to 3. See you soon.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're Hawaii, the state of clean energy, here on Think Tech. We're talking about a retrospective on Clean Energy Day, which was yesterday, 2014, the 6th one. And the keynote for that Clean Energy Day program was Jim Lazar, who's here with us now. He's an energy consultant, regulatory advisor from Olympia, Washington. And my co-host today, Mike Hamnet, co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and Ray Starling of Hawaii Energy. So there was a question posed during the break. That's why the breaks are so important. That was really good. And Ray posted. So Ray, what's your question?
Okay. My question is, Jim, after you kind of stirred the pot, got us started yesterday, we got into a lot of different areas, and I was wondering, from your perspective, what surprised you the most? You've been to Hawaii, you know sort of what the issues are, but what surprised you in that meeting yesterday?
I think what surprised me the most was actually on the transportation side, not the electricity side. And I came to the electricity world via transportation. I worked for the state legislature in transportation. I did my undergraduate thesis on the municipalization of a transit system. And so I keep one foot in transportation. Transportation is almost 2/3 of our petroleum use in Hawaii.
Absolutely.
And what surprised me was the emerging consensus among the people there who talked about transportation, about the need not so much to improve the efficiency of our vehicles, but rather to stop moving around so much, to wake up in the morning where we go to school and go to work and eat and shop and play and pray, and not have long commutes, whether it's driving or carpooling or van pooling or a bus or a train. Long commutes of any motorized form of transportation use a lot of energy. And I was impressed with the pretty clear consensus of the people there that we need to address land use policies and telework and other tools that enable people grocery delivery and all kinds of things that enable people to find a neighborhood, a community, if you will, a village to call home, and only leave it when they have a compelling reason to be somewhere else. That is reducing the amount that we move around. And there were a number of speakers who spoke to that.
There was a number of questions about that too.
There were a lot of questions.
And there was one
about
question I remember very well. It said, "Sorry, but I'm not giving my car up not
Yep.
for anything.
Well-
and if you try to stop me, I'll fight with you politically. And you can't have me. You can't take my car away. I'm not going to do it."
And there are people who would much rather, have their own riding lawnmower and half an acre of lawn to mow than to live in an urban community where they have a lap pool in their building and a choice of 12 restaurants in walking distance. And for those people, the Nissan Leaf or the Tesla is a terrific automobile, and we can charge it with the sun. We can charge it with the wind when power is cheap and available, and they can spend all day driving around in their Tesla. And if the rest of us get off the road, they'll have a lot more fun driving.
Well, let me
I'm
put that
surprised
question.
at the number of people who are moving into town. I mean, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
And a number of my friends who've lived out in Kailua and Kaneohe and Pearl City are actually moving into town, and a lot of the condominium development that some people are decrying in the Kaka'ako area, that those are people from here that are buying. I mean, some of them are way too expensive, but there are a substantial number of people that are moving to town.
And it's not just Honolulu where this is happening. This is happening in spades in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Seattle, in Portland. San Francisco has become so expensive. It's getting real hard in San Francisco. But people are moving into town, and actually the population forecasts for the various states are showing that older people are moving into town so that they don't have to be auto dependent, and younger people are moving into town because they're just not auto oriented.
That's right.
And it's a terrific change from an energy consumption perspective, because I'm staying in Waikiki, and I've got 42 restaurants and all kinds of shopping within easy walk, and I walk to the corner and I'm on a bus to get to the supermarket.
Right.
And I don't live in an urban community. I live in Olympia, Washington, which is a town of 50,000 that's mostly single family. I'm enjoying the urban experience here.
One of the smart growth mistakes I think we made was not a smart growth mistake. The second city development is one that sort of misfired, because the idea was going to be smart growth. We're going to create a second city out in the Ewa Plain. We're going to have businesses out there. We're going to have government offices out there. We're going to have residential. And I think that misfired, because if you look at things like greenhouse gas emissions over time, our emission with ground transportation is the only energy source that got worse over the last 20 years, and it did so because of all the development in the Ewa Plain, with air-conditioned homes instead of fans and all of that.
Well, the single-family home in the suburban subdivision cul-de-sac was the American dream when I was growing up. We've learned since then that American dream is truly a planetary nightmare. Those properties devour land, they devour water, they involve long commutes that devour our psychological health, that use lots of transportation infrastructure, road building or transit
Let me
building.
be the gadfly on this, though. You're talking about reorganizing the whole society. You're talking about moving around less, not using cars. You're talking about moving to town. All these are admirable things, and for an individual at the end of that process, might be okay. I always wanted to have a loft in Chinatown.
That'd be good.
I
That'd be
can't
good.
afford it yet, but that's what I would like to do. And that would make me feel like I was reliving the New York experience, which I think is a good experience. The problem is that when you reorganize a society, a city, a state, and all the elements of that society, you are going to spend a fortune You're going to, it's going to make our unfunded liabilities look tiny. It's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars before this happens. Where is that money going to come from? Sorry, Jim.
It's going to come from the money we don't spend on petroleum.
Okay. Well, that's a fair amount of change, though.
I've got a kind of a follow-up question.
Well, no, actually, there was a figure that was put up on the wall by the council member from Kauai.
Kauai, right.
That the average family transportation bill was $14,950 a year. All right. If you live in a loft in Chinatown and you can walk here and you can walk to most of your shopping and walk to your appointments and walk to the doctor and hop on a bus 3 or 4 minutes or 10 minutes and be at the supermarket, that $14,950 is going to get cut in half, by 3/4, by 7/8.
Okay. And your point about paying for it out of the money we save on fossil fuel would be another argument. But Ray,
we know we can't afford to pay for the infrastructure for the roads. We're not maintaining our bridges, we're not maintaining our freeways, we're not patching our potholes. We're paying pretty substantial gas taxes now, and it's not enough to pay for maintaining, much less building new
The
infrastructure
Federal
for
Highway Trust
transportation.
Fund is empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question: what, from your experience in other places where they've done it right, what is missing here? What is it? Is it a fearless leader who is just going to push it through? Is it more community input? Is it a structural thing? What is it that we haven't done right so that we've got, the parking lot every morning on the H1? What are we doing wrong? What could we do to make it better, I guess?
So what are some of the things that Amsterdam and Vancouver, British Columbia have done differently? All right, so Vancouver, BC decided there was not going to be a freeway into town. There is no freeway into town.
Okay.
And if you want to get to town quickly, you should wake up there. And the west end of Vancouver, if you think Kaka'ako's got some condo development, you got to go check out the west end of Vancouver. I mean, it's a forest that's, in terms of urban experience, competes with New York City, and that's all in the last. I lived up in that area in the 70s, and it's pretty much all since then. The other thing that British Columbia has done is impose a $30 a ton carbon tax. So the price of gasoline has increased, and they use that money to reduce other taxes. So they're using roughly half of it to reduce personal individual taxes and half to reduce business taxes, which has made their economy stronger. Their businesses are more competitive in the Canadian and world economy as a result of those tax reductions. What have they done in Amsterdam? There's no freeway into the city, and gasoline is about twice what we pay in Hawaii. And you have a population where 50% of workers get to work walking or bicycling, and another 25% get to work on the tram system, and less than a quarter are arriving in rubber-tired internal combustion vehicles. They've got compact development, they've got good transit for people who do need to come from a greater distance, but the key is that the commute distances are short.
The other reason things haven't worked, I think, and I was trying to find these statistics the other day. If you take the total transportation bill for a family as a function of their total household income, ours is about the lowest in the country. Our gas prices are the highest, but just in terms of the amount that we drive compared to other people, it's fairly small. Also, even with the electric utility, our electric bills as a function of total household income are pretty low in Hawaii compared to other states.
Hold that thought. This is a hard one, isn't it, to explain? Hold that thought. Jim Lazar, energy consultant and regulatory advisor, with our co-hosts, Mike Hamnet, co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and Ray Starling of Hawaii Energy. Here on Wednesday, Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. And we're doing a retrospective on yesterday's Clean Energy Day, and we're going further too. Okay, I'll be right back after the short break.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard, and I host the show Center Stage on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series right here every Wednesday from 2 to 3 Hawaii time. I would really love to have you watch the show and see what we do here. I talk with some of the most amazing people, artists, most of them, all of them involved in some sort of artistic process. And our goal here on the show is to dig into that artistic process, and you would not believe what some people say, what some people do, what people go through to express. And these are people who have to express somehow, and I find that infinitely interesting. Not only that they have to express, but how they end up doing it. I really hope that you will watch the show and enjoy talking with some of these people the same way that I do. Thanks, and I hope to see you soon on Center Stage on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series, Wednesdays from 2 to 3. See you soon.
What was a small percentage?
Those are statistics I have.
Here we go.
This is
We're back.
578.
We're live. We're here in Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. We're doing a retrospective on Clean Energy Day with Jim Lazar, my co-hosts Mike Hamnet and Ray Starling. So we had a little chat during the break, but maybe you could summarize that for our listeners.
Well, Hawaii electricity bills are higher than in the rest of the country, but our rates are about 4 times
Right.
the national average. Our usage is about half the national average because people don't do any heating of their homes except in mountain areas, and some upcountry folks have heating bills, but not many. And if houses are well designed, there's little or no cooling bill except this week.
You know, I felt that yesterday's program was sort of watershed in a way. I thought that it went further in terms of touching new ground. It went further in terms of candor. The discussion about the utility, that was amazing. The discussion about changing lifestyle was much more forceful than it has ever been before for us. It wasn't just talk.
Yeah.
It sounded like we better get on this really, and we are. I mean, there seems to be a whole momentum thing going on.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think about that? I mean, it seemed to me that we penetrated something yesterday in terms of Clean Energy Day. It wasn't just kabuki. It was the real McCoy in terms of finding new directions.
I think even HECO recognizes that it needs to change in a big way to adapt to a world that has changed in a big way. That if they don't change their business model to embrace the sun and embrace the wind and figure out how to work with a renewable energy future, that their company's future is shaky. And once the company comes to that recognition, I think we can and will see the kinds of changes in how the electric grid is constructed and engineered and maintained, and how pricing is done by the PUC to work together with the will of the Hawaiian people to become less fossil fuel dependent. And I'm optimistic.
It seems to me that things are moving very fast now, faster
I think so
than
too.
before.
And frankly, I think that the Public Utilities Commission that sort of laid down the law, if you will, a couple of months ago, sort of said, look, we've got to change. No more just talking about it. We're going to do it, and let's put something on the table that we can work with. And I think I heard out of this meeting yesterday a number of the Hawaiian Electric people that have really seemed to have gotten it, that they need to do this. They admitted it. I think one of the speakers from Hawaiian Electric said something to the effect that, if we don't do something, we'll become irrelevant. And I think, I don't know if you use the the analogy to the cell phone,
Right.
that was the one that really struck me, that, you know, it could be the same thing that the telephone company went through.
The landline.
And,
Jim-
and suddenly they became
enunciated this
irrelevant.
in the beginning, in your keynote. You started this kind of discussion yesterday, and it seemed to flow from there. And you had all these logos of companies like Zenith,
Yeah.
Studebaker,
Studebaker.
Liberty House.
Liberty House.
That one hit a note.
There are about a third of the people in the room who had no idea what Liberty House was.
Oh, wow.
That's
The youngsters.
Scary.
You know, there's a lot of people who may have only come here once compared to my 40 times, but it's not spread out over quite as many decades.
I also had the feeling. Sorry, Jim. Mike. You saying?
No, just kidding, Jim. No, I think you're right about the change. I think, Jim, you set the tone early on, and I do believe that people in the regulated utilities see things changing. I mean, the whole solar, the PV, you know, taking the company by storm. They just completely were blindsided by that, and I think that's the wake-up call that started all this. And I think they realized that the next big fear is flight from the grid. It's when Pancho Solar starts selling people battery storage, and people do get off.
Well, the telephone companies did not adapt well to a change.
That's right.
All right. 30 years ago, the phone companies came to the PUC and said, "We now seeing competition coming from other sources. We can no longer collect our costs through long distance charges. We want a $30 a month fixed charge for telephone service." And since the commissions gave that to them, allowed them to engage in what I consider as an economist to be monopoly pricing, something that would never happen if there were competitive phone companies.
Right.
Since that time, the phone companies lost 40% of their customers. I think that the electric utility is beginning to realize that it has to be a little smarter than the wireline phone companies were in this transition, that they're not going to be able to charge their customers, you know, $60 or $80 a year for the privilege of being a customer in order to make the price per kilowatt hour low to maintain a business model, because Pancho Solar will sell those customers a battery backup system, and they will, as friends of mine have done, said goodbye to the power company. And that doesn't mean that they know what they can and should do. They know they have to do something smarter than what the phone companies do.
Well, what about LNG? How does that enter into this whole process? There was certainly enough discussion of it yesterday.
There sure was. I think I would be a little out of sync with the group we had at the meeting yesterday on LNG. So many of the questions were hostile to the concept of LNG for a variety of reasons. And you know, I'm not as hostile, perhaps, as most of the advocates who were there. You know, I view it as a resource that could be brought here for about a third of the price of petroleum, and you know, there's a separate discussion about the environmental characteristics of natural gas and the impacts of hydraulic fracturing, but most of the responsible studies show that the environmental impacts of natural gas production, the whole cycle, are not as serious as those for petroleum, and they certainly don't involve the international political risk that we run into with petroleum.
I knew I shouldn't feel this way, Jim, but I feel an onset of separation anxiety. I know you're not gonna be around for a while, right? You're leaving, right?
I'm going home, and I'll be back November 29th.
Okay, but for now, for our show, for the people out there, in this one moment, you know, of examination of our situation in energy in Hawaii, what's your advice to them? The people are listening.
Stop moving around so much. Because all forms of motorized transportation are energy pigs.
Yeah.
That if you're buying a house remodeling a house, improving a house, buy really good stuff, because anything that's cost effective, pretty much anywhere in the world that's even been thought about for being cost effective has been judged for that based on electricity prices of 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 cents a kilowatt hour. And where we're paying twice that on Oahu and 3 times that on the neighbor islands, the cost effectiveness of that more efficient refrigerator, the more efficient dishwasher, the LED light bulbs, and architecture that allows the trade winds to do most of your cooling are just phenomenally
Cost effective.
cost-effective
We're
solutions.
running out of time, so as I always do, I like to ask Ray to summarize this discussion. We only have a minute left, Ray, and then Mike can close.
Oh, my goodness. Well, basically, the event yesterday was a big success. I think we all agree in terms of stirring the pot and getting people excited about moving further down the road and doing it quicker. And I think we'll eventually get there, but it may take a few more trips for Jim to come out here and stir the pot some more.
Yes, amen to that. Mike?
Now, I thought yesterday was the best one we've ever had. And the technology we employed in doing the sifting of the questions and the issues was a great leap forward. And Jim really did set the stage at the beginning of the day and on the panel. He did pose the questions, and I think we need to continue to hammer away at those questions.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. You were terrific.
Well, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Question for you, Jay,
Yeah,
to close it out.
yeah.
The loft in Chinatown, is it
Yeah.
going to have a double wide shower in there for you?
You bet it is, Ray. Count on it.
Energy saver, right?
Count on it.
Okay.
I learned a lot in the negawatt moment. Okay, this is Think Tech. We had a good time today. In the state of energy, we had a retrospective on Clean Energy Day with Jim Lazar, keynote from yesterday, with my co-hosts Mike Hamden and Ray Starling. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks, Jim.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Aloha.